So why? If you look at the data and the statistics, in 2020, 10% of the customers moved their traditional data centers into cloud. By 2025, in 5 years from now, 80% of the enterprises will shut their data centers and move to the cloud. And along with that, we have SAP, who has set a deadline of 2027 for ECC customers to move to S4HANA. The data and the statistics tell that 73% of the customers globally will be deploying and moving into S4HANA, and 72% of those customers will move to the cloud. That's a great and encouraging number. So what does it really mean to move to the cloud? What does an SAP on AWS architecture essentially means? There's a lot of focus and discussion on SAP HANA and S4HANA. Surely, these are the jewels in the crown and the centerpiece of the entire migration. But what really matters is what sits around them, what sits around the jewel. And we have a lot of SaaS applications from SAP. Today, customers use those SaaS applications, or they might do so in the future. So when you're moving to the cloud, that is one other consideration that you need to give. At the foundation of the SAP HANA or this S4HANA and the SaaS application sits the business technology platform, which basically has advented by sunsetting the cloud platform of SAP. It's a much powerful, much robust, and much better acceleration for the entire technology layer. The business technology platform has basically got 6 pillars that drives it: the analytics, the database, the integration suite, the BPM layer, and the Signavio acquisition by SAP makes it even more stronger. The enterprise extensions through the ABAP environment and the digital experience. All of these powered and revved up by the Cloud Foundry and the Gartner, the open source solutions from SAP that drives the Kubernetes and these microservices. This entire platform sits at the foundation of the architecture of SAP on AWS. And then we have the AWS services. AWS has certified and created more than 80 applications and services that certifies with the business technology platform. And when we bring migrations to the customers and we accelerate the migration for the customers, we employ and we deploy these services for the customers to drive faster acceleration. And some of them, as you see here, mentioned and listed, are used repeatedly for customers for the benefit of migration. Some of the applications listed here, like the quick starts and the launch wizards, help customers move their S4HANA applications to the cloud in a matter of hours. It basically provides templates and landscapes ready to be deployed to move the applications to the cloud. SAP, AWS, and Sunera jointly come together with a program called CAP. CAP is Cloud Acceleration Program that brings together the giants SAP and AWS along with Sunera, partners for both, to drive cloud migration and acceleration programs for the customers. At the forefront, it brings 3 things: cheaper, faster, better. What does it actually mean? We simplify the process, we accelerate, and we bring innovation. And how do we do that? At the foundation of all this sits the investments that AWS and Sunera makes for the customers. I'll talk about more investments in a later slide, but to give a quick glimpse about what investments mean, the zero-cost business model of Sunera is an investment that Sunera as a partner for AWS and SAP does for the customers. We basically take away your cost of cloud migration. AWS, as part of its MAP and its RISE program, brings funding to the customers. So when you bring these 2 fundings together, practically your cost of migration drops by more than 60 to 70%. That's a huge benefit. That is only one part of it. The other part of it is the accelerators and the expertise that Sunera, AWS, and SAP bring to the fore, to the foundry of cloud migration, to the factory that drives cloud migration. We predefine the reference architectures for various different landscapes for customers. And this joint services, joint engagement and services between all the three makes it even better. So this platform, Cloud Acceleration Program, is so unique in the fact that it not only brings the funding, but it brings expertise and the entire process to accelerate cloud migration. We very confidently put stake to the claim. We will drive cloud migrations for customers at 50% of the cost and 50% of the time. And business case helps you validate that. Given all of this, is cloud migration a straightforward process? No. It's never a linear or a simple process. Every customer and every migration is different, and it is challenging. And what makes it so? Because every customer landscape, every business landscape, and every environment is different. Customizations made by customers are for their own needs. And typical ECC landscapes have been in existence for more than a decade, some even going all the way to 2 decades. So what really exists out there in landscapes are not homogeneous, but deeply heterogeneous. SAP being the jewel of the crown, the lot of non-SAP applications that stick together as add-ons and integrations, sticking along with the whole application stack. So when you typically move, you need to really think not just about SAP, you need to think about the whole stack as it moves. So legacy makes a very important point on the risk. When you're moving your applications to the cloud, risk stands at first. We need to assess the risk and mitigate them to make sure that we are able to meet the business outcomes. So the compute network and security strategies that has been brought to fore for the last so many years or a decade or so will change when you move to the cloud. Because from the old, you move to the new. And that needs to be kept in mind. The next is compliance and data. Data runs at the heart of the entire SAP application. No matter how best it is built, SAP applications is a jewel in the crown, as I keep saying. It is the best application today in the world. But what really drives that application is data. And data doesn't reside in one server, in one place, or in one landscape. Data today resides in multiple landscapes, multiple environments, multi-countries, and multi-different implementations. And we need a way to bring that data together. So when you are changing your landscapes and moving from old to the new, consideration to that data is extremely important. And then the biggest problem for customers and the challenge is, what is the strategy of my cloud as I go into the future? The biggest questions that keep them going is, which cloud? Should I go for AWS or Azure or GCP or SAP? Which one? Which application should I migrate? SAP, non-SAP, or even in SAP, which ones? When should I migrate? What is the right time? And how should I do it? So these are some of the questions that need answers as you define your end state. And the last one is that clarity to the application and the workload migration, which I already spoke about. We typically tend to think that migration is technical. Yes, we are bringing the best of the technologies to the SAP landscapes, but SAP applications are basically functional in nature. They basically drive business processes. So unless technology really helps drive acceleration, not just acceleration, but efficiency and effectiveness to the business application, it is one way to bring confidence of the entire organization and buy-in from the entire organization to move into the cloud. As much as the CIO's office wants to move the applications to the cloud, you equally need support and handshaking of all your LOB leaders who should and need to see value in the whole process of migration. A very small example here among the big notch of the applications and the business processes, preventive maintenance. While it might seem very simple and little, preventive maintenance can be a big delay, it can derail your entire productivity and production capacities. Your machines going down, notifications not being sent on time, breakdown maintenance not being planned properly can bring machines down, and they might not be running on time. And that can make a huge difference. The idle time there can make a huge difference in the way your productivity and your production capacities are utilized and run. Supply disruption. Inventories today lie in multiple warehouses. They lie in multiple godowns and stocks. They lie in different forms, but they all add a lot of value to your application, to your business, to your P&L, and to your balance sheets. Bringing them together, seeing the value of all of them together, knowing what real time it means a lot to your LOBs and your businesses. When you move to the cloud, the way you define your analytics, the way you define the technology to run these different business applications makes a lot of difference. And that drives operational efficiency. Many systems, environments, and applications today run on age-old AS400 and OS400 systems. While they were good 2 decades ago, they're not as resilient today to run your real-time reporting. And that is going to change moving to the cloud. So business outcomes, as you define your path to the cloud and you define your business case, you will come to define your operational efficiency, how you drive lower operating cost, how you increase your revenue, and how you drive your risk profile down. Now, finally, yes, the 4 key pillars of any cloud migration, because there are different forms of cloud migration, but these 4 are consistently important to any cloud migration. Agility sits at the top of the game. When you have multiple disparate systems and landscapes, and SAP is the model, the known model for that, for multiple landscapes and disparate systems coming together, driving value. Development costs have increased over time, trying to manage all these applications. Those who are running SAP applications will appreciate the fact because they know the number of customizations that sit on SAP applications today. It's a big discussion point in the world today. IT budgets keep overrunning. Technical debt, which gets created with all of this, not just the application, with your compute, with your security, with your network layers, that have grown age-old over a period of time, that have aged. But we had to maintain that because of the sunk costs that we have already put. And technical debt is one big problem that sits on the CIO's desk all the time. And you're always running in backlog. And then you have your competitors knocking at your door with new applications, new effective, new robust applications to sit there and disrupt the business models. And you will have to be ahead of the game. Security, yes, you have taken all necessary means and protection to make sure your organization is secured. But we are at such a fast pace of change with technology that today you have to comprehend large problems with dwell time. The dwell time is basically your ability to respond back to a security threat. And today, you really don't need to, your dwell time has to be the least and the least minimum to be able to respond back. GDPR compliance and the cyber attacks that keep happening. So you need the best security systems. Cloud is the answer because cloud brings all the best technologies to the fore. Employee productivity. When your operational efficiencies, your production efficiencies, your business efficiencies are not performing to the full extent, what really gets affected is employee productivity. When your employees run reports in the night, the nightly batch reports which typically run, and they are not complete when you come the next day to the office at 9 or 8 in the morning. I know today everybody works from home, but typically 8 or 9 in the morning, you have to keep waiting for those reports to complete before you can actually start seeing value in them. This is just one problem. And there are so many such issues. And eventually with all of this, risk. This brings risk to the business. And cloud reduces the risk. Cloud should remove the risk. So the business outcome that you should be driving towards is better business agility. Your development from months should drop to weeks, days, and hours in some case. Resiliency, because you're running in the latest software stack, because you're running in the latest compute network and security stacks, the resiliency of your whole application model and your stacks, it just goes up. And that is extremely important. It drives secure solution models. It improves productivity. We spoke about predictive maintenance. We spoke about preventive maintenance, right? when your machines are running at appropriate levels, when you know the problems before they happen, when you know when you have to maintain them in the schedule maintenance process. I'm just taking one example to make it simple. Your productivity improves. You can prioritize which workloads and how you need to move and you need to accelerate. What all this does, it drives your TCO down. That is the big advantage of being in the cloud. It drives your TCO down. What is even more important, I'll tell you, it's not about just bringing the TCO down, but it's about maintaining it through the process of running in the cloud. You change your consumption billing pattern. It moves from CapEx to OpEx. We all know that. And your security and your regulatory compliance just increases. Now, we all think cloud is CIO's business. It is IT infrastructure department's business. It is the technical guy's business, but that is not really the case. Unless the CIO and that team is able to handshake with all the different LOB heads, because cloud brings efficiency, effectiveness, and acceleration to the business processes. And through the business processes, it drives the organization towards better profits and better margins. It improves the top line and the bottom line both. And that is why the CXOs and the CXO offices want to be involved in the whole decision process. So when you drive your business case, we have to make sure that we bring all these different compartments together. We need to bring all these departments together, and we need to handshake to move further to the cloud. Typically, when you're moving an SAP application to the cloud, I know there are different ways that you can do it, but if we were to paint it with a brush and we were to look at it in 2 or 3 different colors, then basically there are 2 ways. The infrastructure, which is basically lifting and shifting your application to the cloud. The other one is basically platforming your whole model, which means re-architecting and re-platforming. For both of these options, Sunera provides you the 0 cost, which means you can migrate at no cost. You don't need to go back to your CFOs to ask for funding. And that's a promise Sunera makes upfront, not later, upfront. And in addition to that, Sunera commits 45% savings as part of your TCO. Plus the AWS funding savings and all of that. Just imagine how great it can be. So I'm not going to talk about the difference between IaaS and platforming your services. But typically, IaaS is moving it to lifting and shifting it to the cloud, making it more efficient and resilient. But platform as a service, it goes beyond that. It changes the way your application functions, how the business process functions. It brings microservices and containers and all these Kubernetes and the power of the real cloud to the fore. It brings your entire application stack together. In today's world, it's called digital decoupling. That's the most advanced way of implementing cloud applications. When you're driving your business case, your migration projects typically go through 4 different parts: the challenge, the impact, the new capabilities, and the anticipated business outcomes. We need to know the challenges up front. We need to know the impact that we are solving up front. We need to know the new capabilities that you're bringing to the fore. And we need to know the anticipated business outcomes, which we handshake not just with our partners and other departments across the LOBs and the CXOs offices, but also with the partners and with our cloud providers like AWS or any others. We all have to be in it together. No one person can be driving it separately. And that's extremely important. Business case becomes the fundamental layer to define this whole model. Many of you, or rather all SAP customers today, have heard of RISE. It has been so well advertised, everybody has heard of RISE. The big question is, what is RISE? Why RISE? When RISE? I'm not going to go here and define RISE because that SAP has done well enough. But what I'm going to do here is today show you that there are 4 paths of moving to the cloud. And as you walk through the 4 paths, what is it that you really need? And what is it that you really should do? I spoke to you about CAP as well, the Cloud Acceleration Program, which Suneratech brings jointly along with SAP and AWS. When CAP versus RISE, it's a very important point for you to know. The 4 paths: lift and shift, innovating with SAP beyond the infrastructure, which I call digital decoupling. It's the first step to digital decoupling. The third, migrating, replatforming to HANA. We all know how powerful HANA is. And fourth, going to the gold as for HANA, right? So 4 paths. Both CAP and RISE provide funding. So AWS provides funding. AWS has a program that provides funding for both CAP and RISE. RISE funding typically, I'm not going to speak of the amounts here or anything. I'm just going to speak about the modality of what the funding is. Obviously, RISE is available to customers in t-shirt sizes. So the funding from AWS for RISE, a pilot program, is on the t-shirt sizes. For CAP, it's basically on the MAP program, which is assess, mobilize, and migrate and modernize. At each stage, AWS offers funding to the customers and the partners, and it is a great amount of funding. And I can tell you, in terms of just the sheer numbers, the MAP program offers much better than the RISE program. I don't want to differentiate between the two just on the funding, but I'm giving you the facts. In terms of CAP and RISE, typically CAP helps you move SAP and non-SAP workloads both to the cloud. It ensures that your entire application stack is seen as a whole. RISE is purely focused on SAP. AWS has more than 200 plus services on CAP which can be used, and each AWS services is gold standard, and 80 AWS services on BTP for RISE. You want to scale, you want to drive M&As, you want to do divestitures, you want to look at connectivity, you want to look at resiliency. CAP provides you the end state, the best state. To that extent, when you really look at those complex application landscapes, there is a limitation in RISE. Existing ECC and big landscapes, my recommendation is CAP. Net new greenfield, RISE. So this is based on all of our understanding and analysis of migrations, CAP, and RISE. And we wanted to be just to both.